I'm Abby,
And I'm Anna.
and this is Serious Beef.
Welcome.
You got beef?
I do.
Well, maybe we should first, just straight off the bat, our everything Ashley not with us today.
That's
Very
true.
sad. Very sad. Not with us last week. We had Wayne. This week she's replaced
By Sam.
by Sam.
Hello.
Back once again.
Welcome
Sam,
back, Sam.
welcome back. Sam, have you listened to any podcasts since our last recording?
No, second time guest, zero time listener.
Against zero listener. This is some bullshit. Why do we have these people on our podcast that don't listen?
Man, I'll tell you what. I don't know.
You don't even know. You don't even know what to tell us.
No. I'll tell you what.
Abby isn't speeches very often, but apparently this is one of those moments.
I've heard it's very funny. I'll get around to it eventually.
And let me tell you something. Springtime Catholic Craving is fan favorite.
It's a fan favorite.
From all
Sam.
two fans.
It's
I
true.
will say, your podcast is highly recommended. I just refuse to listen to things.
Because
So-
who's highly
Who's highly
recommending it?
recommending it? Us.
Yeah. Your Facebook page I follow.
Let's-
Then I was invited to follow. I follow it.
Well, at least you follow that.
Did you follow
Okay.
it?
Of course I did.
Well, thank God.
I'm not a monster. Jeez.
Well, do you follow us on Spotify?
I don't have Spotify.
You don't need to
You don't have to
have
Spotify?
Spotify. You don't have to have Spotify to follow
I
us.
have Apple Music. We've been over this.
Well, do you
You
have
can
Apple
listen on
Podcasts?
Apple Music.
Apple Podcasts?
I have. Yes, I have it.
Do you follow us on there?
I think so.
But you better fucking better.
Should be.
I will say I went to find it when it was first like a brand new thing, but it was like
It was a little
not the
difficult
wrong,
to
just
find.
the wrong thing. So I. Have
It
not-
was a little difficult.
Yeah, I've not since gone back to find it again.
All right, here we go. Moving
All
on.
right.
I do have beef.
You do.
And it's perfect
It's
that
not
you're
just
joining
Sam.
us. It's
It's not
perfect
just
that you're
Sam.
just joining us, Sam, for this episode because we decided to talk about. Well, I just finished reading a book, okay, and I
Oh.
liked it.
For the first time?
Yes, first book I've ever read.
God.
We're very proud of you. How long did
Thank
it
you.
How long? It's taken her whole life to get here.
All right, smart. Okay, I finished a book, and major cliffhanger
Major cliffhanger.
at the end of this book. They both saluted. You can't tell their sisters at all.
Major
Okay.
cliffhanger.
It's good thing they
Protect and
flew
serve.
on a non-filmed podcast.
Yeah, we,
Okay.
Sometimes the jokes are just for us.
Sometimes. Okay. So I finished the book. Good book. I liked it until they walk into a mirror. The main character walks into a mirror with her cousin, and
did they break it? Is there like not
nope, it's a magical mirror, and they walk through the mirror, and the best friend says to the love interest, "Well, what do we do now?" And the love interest says, "We wait." And then I go to turn the page. That was the end of the book. Ah, it was so bad.
Now, obviously, you were reading it on your phone,
Yes.
your iPad,
Yes.
because if you had had a physical copy, this wouldn't have been an issue.
It would have been a little more obvious.
You would have
I will
known.
say. You would have seen the number of pages.
You would have known.
It's true. It's true. But I
But we don't knock the e-readers. I'm an
But-
e-reader.
No, no,
Oh,
not
see,
knocking you.
no, I used to read obviously physical copies, but now I have the weird one eyeball thing going, the macular
The one-eyed,
degeneration
one-horn
thing going on.
Probably
Yeah.
weird.
And
Stigmatism.
so I can't see as well, and I can see better on a phone or tablet just because it's lit up, So that's I have to read on those now.
I'll give you that.
So at least I have a way I can read, so it's good.
But-
But anyway,
so books that leave you hanging.
huge cliffhanger, huge. And I'm like,
Well,
okay, well it's a trilogy.
Yeah.
I know it's a trilogy.
We'll get to the next one.
I'll just go check out the next book. No big
Yeah.
deal. Oh no, doesn't come out till November.
Oh, you know what? That sounds like a
Left me
that sounds very
hanging.
interesting because, listeners, you don't know, but Anna and I and Sam are in a book club. It's our book club.
It is our own book club that
call
we
it-
created.
Yep, we call it the Bitties Book Club. We're Bitties.
We're Bitties, but we spell it
Bitties.
We don't.
IES.
Yeah, because
Yes, we do.
because Bitties like titties.
It sounds
that's
it's
true.
closer to titties,
Because-
and she thought that was funny.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because
You-
Bitties, the word Bitties is actually spelled like D's.
D's,
Yeah, two
yeah,
Ds.
as in dog. Yeah, we spell with T's as in tallywhacker. And so yeah, Bitties like titties.
So
It is.
so yeah, there's my beef.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing though. But that reminds me, next one's not coming out till November. That reminds me of I have a similar experience.
Yeah, we've all been there. We've all been
we
there.
we all the three of us specifically have been there.
Specifically, you're right.
And it's Sam's fault.
And I agree, all Sam's fault.
Yes, because we, the Bitties, our first book this year in the Bitties Book Club
Sure.
was Assistant to the Villain.
Was that our first book this year? Really?
Yeah.
I got
Yeah,
it.
because it was your pick. It
Yeah.
was your
It's your
pick.
pick.
This bitch. Anyway.
Okay. Okay, did you or
2024.
did you not enjoy that book?
Yeah, no, it's lovely. It's great.
It's a great
It
book.
was very, very good. Highly recommend. I gave it 5 stars.
Me
Is
too.
there a sequel coming out later in, I think, August or September?
It's August.
Well, that one's even soon.
Well, I know.
Then
but
that's fine. I
Yeah,
don't know
but
what
we
you're
read it,
complaining
But we
about.
read it back in January.
back in like February. We were back in February.
That's true.
And I was like, oh, it's really good. Major cliffhanger. Sam recommended Assistant to the Villain, and I read it. I trusted you blindly. And I
I
read
really
it.
enjoyed it. It's a very good book.
Yeah.
Everyone should read it.
It is very good.
I owned it. I read it. And
But you're right.
I
Another
get to the end.
huge cliffhanger.
Yep.
I think
And
that's
then
why I was so angry when I just finished this book last night.
Mm-hmm.
I was so mad. You were in the living room when I finished
saw
it.
you.
I was so mad. And I think it's because this is the second time now
well, I'm
that
like,
this has happened to me.
it ends in a cliffhanger. And I'm like, oh, well, Sam, where's the second one? And she goes, it doesn't come out till August. And I go, you bastard.
Son of a bitch.
And I was like, why would you do this to us? Why would you
Yes,
make us do
yes.
this? Why don't we just wait? And she goes, because I wanted you to suffer with me.
Oh.
That's what she said to
Is
me.
this book maybe also a trilogy? Who's to say?
Yeah, we only have the
say?
fucking
We
first
don't
one.
know for sure. I've been following this author on Instagram for a while. I watched her get to the point where she could publish it. It's very, very good.
It is.
It's awesome.
I do highly recommend Assistant to the Villain. That's
She
like
makes
a
funny
sun...
videos on Instagram about her
But,
characters. It's great.
if you're going to read it, wait until August.
Yeah.
Then the second one will be up. But then you'll probably have another cliffhanger because we think it might be
We know it's a trilogy.
It's a trilogy. So
Okay, well, here's the thing. The
makes it fun.
Assistant to the Villain is like sunshiny assistant, works for like the evil villain,
Yeah,
right?
it's your grumpy sunshine trope. Yeah, it's your bubbly, wonderful assistant and your dark, evil, brooding, evil.
So you know they gotta end up.
villain. It's great. You've got hijinks. You've got funny
It is funny.
scenarios.
I like the
You've
frog.
got mystery and intrigue. It's a great book. It's a good time all around.
It was a good time all around. Highly recommend. But so
Okay.
so all right.
That's our beef. That's our beef. I mean, you know, it's
Cliffhangers.
again, it's not like
I tell you, I don't know how I survived.
a terrible beef. We'll get through it.
I don't know how I survived high school of like Hunger Games, Divergent, books like that weren't out yet. We were reading them as they came out.
Yeah.
I don't know how I did it. That was horrible. That was horrible.
I'm getting a bit of that now again. My friend and
Can't
I,
do
we
it.
subscribe to a monthly book box, and they
Oh.
always give like that month's like a new release.
Mm-hmm.
So her and I have a sort of side book club where we read books together. So we have been reading through those books. So then of course we read them, we
Yeah.
like them, and then again it's first in a series or whatever, either trilogy or duology, doesn't matter. I'd wait a year or more for the next book to come out. I'm like, God dang it! I'm back
I
in
know.
that same
Year or more, yeah.
yeah, I'm back in that same boat.
Sometimes when
like
that
high school.
when you do that, I got to go back and read the first one again
So same.
yeah,
before the second one because I got to remember it. Now Abby doesn't have to do that because Abby remembers everything she ever has read. I think that didn't make. Did that make sense? Did I say that right?
I
Whatever.
have pretty good reading comprehension.
You would
and then-
read everything. You still do. You read
everything.
you read a book. And now that we're in the biddies, you don't do it so much because you wait till I read.
I
them,
don't need
then
to
we
give you
discuss.
Right, I don't need to give you the oral.
You don't
book
have to give me the
report.
oral book report. But before, you would call me and tell me. She would tell me every detail of the book, and I'm like, how do you remember everything?
We literally So our most recent book is "The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet"
Yes.
by Becky Chambers. Highly recommend.
Really
Very
good.
cute.
I liked it a lot.
And I have finished it. Sam has not yet.
We're waiting
so
for
we
Sam.
won't talk
working
about
on
it.
So
that.
we can't
I
talk
apologize.
about it. We will get to it.
Right,
But that's
okay.
good. We both
but,
liked it.
Well, yeah, but you and I talked when you finished it. We talked about it, and I was like, "Okay, but what about this one thing?"
And I had forgotten about
And
that.
she was like, "What?"
And it was a huge thing.
It's like the biggest part of the end of the book,
Yep.
and she just completely forgot. And
I had already forgotten about it.
Ash is also reading it, and she's a few chapters in now.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to leave the room and go and be like, "Well, I have to
What
tell her."
about XYZ?
And she
I
goes,
went,
"Oh,
I did. I gasped.
did I even read the book?"
Oh my God.
Like I can't believe I forgot
I
that.
was like,
It was a huge
I don't know.
moment.
I don't know if you read the book. Good God.
Yeah.
Well, so that brings me to some of the books we've read in the base. Because I tell you what, we read our ranking system is there's Bitties Bangers, Bitties Bops.
In descending order. Bangers is the
Bangers
highest.
is the highest.
Highest.
Bops. What's the neutral? Bitties Basic.
Basic.
Yes.
And then there's a Bitties Bummer.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think there's another terrible thing.
Something like that.
Bitties Budapest. No.
Okay.
It's not Bitties. It's not Bitties Budapest.
Bitties
Bitties-
Bummer, Bitties.
Bitties Bullhawk. That's all I can think of right now.
Bullhawk.
I don't think
Not-
of that. Not
We've
good
never
example.
had. Here's the thing. All of
We've
our
never
We've
had
never
one.
had like a 1-star
all
terrible
of
read,
our
though.
books have fallen into bangers or bops.
For me and
so-
you.
We have many basic ones, but overall they've all been pretty good.
Now, I don't think you would have ranked Sign Here as high as Ab and I did.
That's true.
We really liked it.
Those
I
are
think
the
we
big-
gave it a we gave it a bop.
I did give it a bop.
But I think
I
you gave
might
it
have
a
given it a
basic.
basic.
I think
I
you
didn't
gave
actually
it a
finish that
basic.
one, but
Yeah.
I wasn't.
when you weren't really.
Sign
I
Here-
was what's going on.
Well,
Be
you
careful.
know what? Sign Here wasn't what I thought it was going
wasn't
to
me.
be.
And
You
that's
know, I
okay.
thought it was going
Yeah.
to be like a we go to hell and then like the Office shenanigans ensue. It was
was
not
not.
that.
But it was still.
not.
I still really liked it. But not every book is going to be for everybody, and that's okay.
Books,
It's okay.
But books are so far from the book biddies that have been for everyone as far as our club.
Yeah.
It definitely included The House in the Cerulean Sea. That was
Oh,
excellent.
The House and the Cerulean Sea is one
Love
of
that
the
one.
best books I think I've ever read.
It was a
is
very good book.
That
So
book by was it T.J. Klune?
Yes.
it's a wonderful, wonderful book. If you haven't read it, go read it.
Oh my gosh.
Magic, funny in the like
Funny,
British humor, good omens
heartwarming.
way. You've got cutesy, magical. It's just a really wonderful
It just
book.
feeds your soul and makes
That
you
book
just so
It was so good.
feel
I
so
loved that
wonderful
book.
about life. Yeah, that one was one of the best books I think we've read.
Oh, absolutely.
The fact that we all loved it.
That one was amazing. And then and we have on the Bitties book club page, we've got a forum, but I just kind of put all of like the bangers go in this like bucket,
Oh,
the
okay.
bops go in this bucket, and then we have like a quotes thread where we'll put quotes from the books in
I
there.
haven't done that in a while.
And
You say we, but I've never posted in that. because
I
don't-
have,
I don't
but
know.
I
I'm
haven't-
doing
I can't remember how to do it.
everything.
I will say, I saw your recent post of the quotes from The Long Way to His Wandering Planet. I was reading a few of them, not the whole thing, but I normally borrow my books from the library when we read them. So I think I'm going to start copying and pasting into like a notes app to like, because I never do that, and I would like to keep track of what quotes
And that's
I
true
like.
because I forget to do
So I'd
that.
like to do that. I don't think it while I'm reading it. So I'm like, oh well, I would like
Well-
some good quotes, but I didn't track anything.
well,
so I
here's the
don't
thing.
have
Now
any.
here's the thing. I don't track either. Mentally,
Cheater, scandal.
I know.
Reveal.
Mentally, I do take note of like, there's the one conversation that's in the book that's my favorite, and a good chunk of the quotes come from that. And so mentally, I know, okay, I'm gonna go back and pull that. But on Goodreads, you can actually pull up quotes from books, and people will submit their quotes from the books, and you can read.
I've seen that.
Here's
and then-
my problem.
Yeah. So I'll go through
I don't
that.
remember how to do it.
I've seen people who
That's-
annotate their
It's
books
such a
that
mom.
like
It's such a mom and her 50s
get, like-
thing to say.
they get
Remember.
their physical copies and then they'll like underline and such like that through their books. And part of me like wants to do that because it's like, okay, I'd like to.
Right.
But I also
The other part of me is like sacrilege.
You
Do
have
not.
to get the tabs. You need tabs.
but it's not just that
Colorful tabs.
if I want to lend it to someone, I can't lend here mom, here's Legends and Lattes to read. Tabbed.
With my marks all over. it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to do that. Especially when it's like you get to like this one tab and it's just like the smut chapters and it's a tab. No, like, could you imagine? Oh my god!
I will say,
Wait. Please loan me that book.
No,
I will say,
No.
I've seen this thing that I thought was really fun where, I don't know, we're friends, whatever, decided to read a book together, but it's like, with the annotating, So one person reads it, say, I don't know, black pen or annotates, hint to the next person reads it, I don't know, blue pen annotates, and then say third person, I don't know, some other color,
Gel pen,
pen
picks
or whatever,
another color,
some
yeah.
purple, green, other pen or whatever, highlighter.
Interesting.
They annotate, he had like this finished book of like everyone's thoughts and comments throughout the whole book.
Interesting. But I don't want you bitches writing in my books.
That'd be like, I think it's more of like a special occasion, almost like you do
That's
it
true.
for like, I don't know, like
The
a
library's books.
not like a birthday or like Christmas, like a holiday, like a special occasion.
Wait, that actually brings me to an excellent. Here's the
Wait,
skinny. Here's
I found
here's
I found the thing. We got Bitties bangers, Bitties bops, Bitties basics, Bitties bummers, Bitties busts, and the never used Bitties bullshit.
Bitties bullshit.
We've been angry enough to use that.
Okay,
as a group.
I have to tell you, it's funny that you said that. That it's we mark up the library's books because I wanted to find a skinny a scoop of poop about books or something to go with our theme for the week, and we love the library. If you didn't know, we're firm supporters of the library. It's great. Well, I found this on the interweb, and this person tells compiled stories. Apparently, he had a book in his car, and he lives in Chicago, and it got cold, and the soda in his car exploded all over the book, and it froze, and then it thawed out, and of course the book is destroyed. So he had to, replace the book and pay the fine and blah, blah, blah. So he asked the librarian if they had any funny stories or weird experiences of books coming back, or whatever. Yeah. So he compiled these stories. Oh. And I'm like, okay, what do you got? What do you got? So here's the several stories I got for you. So the one is a patron checked out a book from a library, went out to his car, but within like a minute came back in. Oh. Okay. And the book was opened, and he shows the librarian that someone had layered 3 pieces of cooked bacon in the middle of the book. A fairly large book. Okay, and now it had calcified, and it was half moldy and pressed flat into the book.
Oh no!
And destroyed the book.
Oh god!
Fucking, you need a bookmark. You need a bookmark.
No
3 pieces of bacon.
No. Why 3? That seems excessive.
Why 3? In the middle of the
is it one piece? What good enough? Like
one
way
would be enough.
Snack 3.
Well, how gross is that?
Maybe he wanted a snack.
This poor librarian's like, we don't even know how he got reshelved. They completely missed it. So another one was
a
4-year-old had sat through a lesson on book care. Okay, the library had this little thing on how to take care of your books, a little summer reading program kind of thing. Sure. And then they all got to check out books and take them home. And she came back in with her book to return it and told the librarian, I tried really hard to take care of my book, but my sister peed on it.
Oh no.
Oh my god.
So
how does it accidentally happen? In what world does that happen?
You got a toddler kid running around, just
Oh no.
I guess.
Poor girl. She tried really hard, and her sister peed on it.
I'm so sorry.
Oh my gosh, so hilarious. Let's see. Someone brought a copy of The Hollow Boy to the reference desk. They opened it up to reveal a smushed packet of McDonald's barbecue sauce inside. Oh, no. And the patron said, I found it like this, I promise. She's probably like, you did it. You did it.
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness. Let's see. We had a case where one patron put a book in their microwave. They thought this was taking precautions for germs.
Oh.
Turns out the customer...
Let him cook.
Oh, yeah. Turns out the customer didn't know the book had a security tag, and it blew up their microwave and the book.
Moron.
They brought the damaged book and happily paid for it while regaling this hilarious and awkward tale. Oh my god. Blew up their microwave. Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay. So let's see, this library had a book that was returned that was water damaged, and when they called the customer, a little boy picked up the phone. It had been a children's book, by the way. And when the librarian asked to speak to the parent, the boy admitted that his parent only spoke Chinese. The librarian does not speak Chinese. So she explained to the little boy that the book had water damage and that his parent would have to be charged for the item.
Oh no.
He felt terrible and said that he had accidentally dropped it in the snow. I told him how great it was that he was being honest. He then asked me what the book cost, and I told him $8. He yells into the phone, "My daddy has $8," and he hung up on me.
What? My daddy has $8. Click.
I don't know if they paid the $8 or not. It doesn't say. My daddy has $8. And he hung up the phone.
Okay, well, fucking la-ti-da.
Oh my gosh. Let's see. A man handed me a book, and as soon as he placed it into my hands, he said, "My son threw up on it. He's a nervous flyer." It was still damp.
Oh no! Why would you do that? Don't give it back to them.
Why would you do that?
You know what? Here's
So
the thing.
awful.
Here's the thing. I tell you what. If something bad, embarrassingly bad, had happened to a book, right? If my sister had peed on a book, I'm gonna go into the library and say, "I lost the book.
Yeah.
What do I owe you?"
Yeah.
I'm not gonna bring in the book and say, "My sister peed on this book."
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Or "My son's a nervous flyer. He threw up." No. We lost the
What
book.
looks like the day?
Okay.
You'd have to waterboard me to get that information out of me. I would never freely admit that something like
would-
that happened.
You would have to waterboard me to get that
Yeah,
information.
Right?
Could
No.
not.
Oh my gosh. Here's one. A raccoon got into the library, got a hold of a book. The book was saved because they lured the raccoon away with Cheetos.
Oh my
Were they
God.
crunchy or puffy?
It doesn't say.
An
Inquiring
incomplete
minds want to
article.
know. Yeah.
Oh, here's another Cheeto one. A woman had to pay to replace a considerable number of books because she ate Cheetos while she read, and the pages were a mess
Of
with
course they
Cheeto
are.
stains.
Why would you do that?
Why
Oh my
would you
God.
turn
As an adult, as a fully grown adult,
a
you're
fully
still
grown adult?
you're still eating
I-
Cheetos
I get
or
nervous.
cheddar popcorn or anything sugary, and you're just turning book pages.
touch the book
What are you
pages.
doing?
I get nervous, like, if my hands are too sweaty.
Yeah.
Like, I
Oh, yeah.
could never
Things
imagine.
that slight into like, oh my God, my hands are too wet.
I can't imagine eating, like, Cheetos. Like,
Unashamed,
Doritos.
unabashedly, just Cheeto dust everywhere.
Awful. Awful. Oh my God. You get any more?
We can go move
Oh,
on.
that's a good chunk
Yeah,
of them.
there's
That's
a
an
whole
excellent
there's a
scoop.
whole bunch of them. But
Oh, wait. Secret sauce.
secret sauce.
Secret sauce. Sam, why'd you hit us with our secret sauce this week?
Today I'm going with sweet and sour.
Sweet and
Sweet
sour.
and sour sauce.
The only acceptable sauce to dip your chicken nuggets from McDonald's.
Incorrect.
Incorrect.
Ranch is also acceptable.
But the secret sauce
Nope.
is indeed sweet and sour sauce.
Sweet and sour sauce.
Okay.
Will
All
we
right.
accept ranch?
We will
No.
not.
Will we accept cornucopia? Also still no.
no.
Peppercorn ranch?
That was last week.
Last week.
Now you're confusing people.
This week,
Sweet and sour sauce.
I received a second password was sent in after I called everybody out for not sending any in.
No way.
Yes. Our lone listener who sends in the super secret password, of course she sent one in. Shout out. But also Kate, who we need to get on for the ghost episode. You recall this, Anna?
Yes.
She sent it in. She got caught up that
got
she
caught
sent in
Oh.
peppercorn ranch.
I have one more I have to tell you. This is the last one.
Okay.
This one's actually. A guy came into the library and said, I can't find the book to return it.
Okay.
And so the librarian said, well, you got a little bit of time yet. It's not overdue yet. You got a little time. You can continue to look a little bit, check under your car seats. A lot of times patrons find their books under the car seat. And he says, under your vehicle, but he says he doesn't have a car. He rides his bike everywhere. So it can't be under the car seat. Anyway, he came back in a few days later, had the book. He was super excited. And he tells her she was right. It was under the car seat of his pot dealer.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Wowie. Let me tell you something. Once again, waterboard me for that information.
Isn't that fantastic? I about died.
That's
But
hilarious.
people feel like they need to tell you. There are people out there who feel like they can tell you everything. They don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care. They're not embarrassed. Like people come into the bank to get their own money out of the bank. Okay, and they tell you why they're getting their money.
I
Yeah.
don't need to know.
And you don't have to tell me why you're getting your money. If the money is there, if you have it, I'm gonna give it to you.
Nope.
If it's really you, you got an ID. You can verify that it's you. You don't have to tell me.
Yeah.
Why you need all of this money.
Anyway, back on. I'm going to just talk real quick on the Bitties. And
Yeah.
maybe we'll upload a picture of like a couple of the books we read. I don't know.
Sure.
Cerulean Sea, excellent. This, like I
Absolute
said,
banger.
Bitties 2023. That's when the bays were formed. It was just me and Sam, and we added in Anna.
It's
Yep.
true. It's true.
Every year, maybe we
I
add
kind
that
of
person.
I kind of horn my way in on things anyway. As I
She
said,
was.
I'm joining.
She's joining.
I need a good book to read.
That's all right, and you're in. That's fine. The first book we had read in the series was Lore, a book called Lore. Who writes that, Sam? Help me.
Alexandra Brecken.
That book was a banger, and that
Very,
was an
very good.
immediate Bitties banger.
That book was really good.
I was on the twists and turns. I actually had me read something. She had me read Fourth Wing, which was also good. Highly recommend Fourth Wing. But it kind of followed some like classic tropes of like I see where this is going. Now there were definitely some twists, and it kind of was like the author played on. You know where this is probably going, and they kind of turn it on its head a little bit. And so I was like, okay, that's fun. And whatnot. Lore, not a clue. Not a
No
goddamn clue. That whole book, I was like,
Yeah.
I'm just along for the ride.
Twist on a twist. I was like, oh my god, I can't keep
You're
up with
you're
this.
listening at work. I'm reading.
It was so
like,
good. We were
real
flying through it, and so I'm at work, and
I
had
read really fast, and
so you were at home reading really fast, and I was at work at that point, still doing processing in the lab. So I just had my earbuds in, like audiobook, listening to it while I was working, just so I could keep reading it. That wouldn't say fall behind, like as I still am doing when you were reading, trying to. So I had the audiobook on like 1.5 times speed with that, just because at that point we had gotten at least to the halfway point of that book. We're getting to the like exciting twists and reveals and the really good stuff. And so we finished each chapter, and I'm like, oh, I finished, I don't know, chapter 50 or whatever it was, like, oh my god, I'm texting you as I get through this, because then it's like, okay, I'm still listening, getting through it, then you text, oh my god, next chapter. It's like, no way, I'm not done yet. So
she's listening at like 1.5 times
so
speed.
I'm flying through it. You're reading it home.
She's reading at 1.5 times.
She's
speed.
reading 1.5 times.
Yeah, I
speed.
just have like a physical
reads-
copy.
You read
And
so
You also,
fast.
I mean, in your head, you
You
read
do read
faster than
fast.
someone would say it out loud.
All I can imagine is
Also-
Sam is listening to it.
Yes.
So, but there's also the way people also narrate or read books.
Yeah.
They read it slowly to like enunciate clearly.
Certainly.
Oh, like, so
Sure.
I always typically
Yeah.
speed up the speed a little bit just to make it like a normal person talking. So I talk so fast. That's normal
Okay.
for me.
I tried audiobook something, and I just like kept falling asleep.
I
Maybe
do,
if I up the speed.
It depends.
maybe
It
that'll
depends
help me.
on
Who it is.
a few different things. Since I did a lot of audiobooks when I was driving to school,
you're driving,
and
yeah.
then at work. Since I'm working from home now, it's a little. I don't do as many audiobooks
I
anymore.
can't do it when I'm
but,
working. I can't
for me, you gotta have an energetic or at least lively narrator.
Okay.
Typically, I prefer women over men, just because a
Me too.
men's lower voice. I've had some very wonderful male narrators, but typically a man's voice, if it's especially like a lower, really like bass voice, it lulls you to sleep. It
Yeah.
really is just
It's
like
that
this-
brown noise.
Yeah.
Remember was talking about it's not a sissy.
Legit. It's not a sissy.
Yeah,
If you listen to the podcast,
if you
you
have
would get that.
a brighter, like woman voice, it's higher pitched. It comes through.
It's actually easier to hear
it
higher
better.
pitch.
Also, like if it's a really, really deep like man's voice, like I just can't hear it. Like I
because
crank the volume, I just can't hear what
So
they're
lower
saying.
the volume, Mufasa. Come on.
The older you
Legit,
get,
it's like
the
James
lower
Earl Jones
registers
is like, come on, man, I
are
can hear
harder
you.
for me to hear.
Yeah, the lower
Now that I'm
registers, yeah.
older.
Yeah,
It's
so
easier to
I've
get
noticed
the higher.
that, but it depends. On the book and on
Okay,
the reader.
totally.
But,
Well, so
but yeah, that book was so good.
That book was
I'm just
amazing.
like I'm trying
Well-
to keep up, and like we're texting is going crazy. So
I don't know if you've ever read Lore or if I only
You
if I just
literally,
gave you,
after every chapter, would call me and tell me the entire story.
that was the deciding factor for Mom joining the book club. She's like, I
Yes.
can't do this again.
Like,
I have to just read the
I
book on
can't
my own.
have the entire oral book report. I'm gonna need to read it, and then we can discuss.
Like,
But
That's
oh, I'm
That's-
sorry.
that's
You're
it.
telling me that my oral book report wasn't comprehensive and you were
It
like,
was.
it was
I did not.
entertained.
I did not need to read the book.
It's
because
true.
I was told
That's true.
the entire story.
I would say I still recommend reading it. Lore is like modern day New York.
Urban fantasy, Greek mythology.
Yes.
Magic realism. It's great.
It is amazing. It's like every so many years the Greek gods become mortals, and if the humans, and these families are descendant of like Hercules,
Greek
or
heroes,
Heracles, if
yeah.
you will, Achilles,
the Greek heroes,
these classic Greek heroes. That these families are descendant, and if somebody in one of those families kills the god, you become the god.
You get their powers.
Yeah, you get their powers, and so that's the setup, and it follows Lore is the girl's name, and oh my god, edge of my seat, I had no idea where things were going left.
So
and
yeah,
right.
so first of all, it takes place over the course of a week, so it's immediately in its setting, super fast paced, and so
Yes.
Is this a trilogy?
No, it's a standalone.
Standalone?
Yeah.
Loved it.
So
and now
there you
it's
go.
like 450 pages, I think, or so. It was like 400 pages, I think.
Normal YA.
We read Lore. That was the first one we read. Banger. I mean, it's a banger. Then we read Cerulean Sea.
Thank God, because I was so nervous because we had such a strong start.
Oh
to the
my
Bitties.
God.
I was like, well, what are we gonna do now? Because we read like an amazing book. Anything else is gonna be terrible. So we pivoted hard genre-wise to another more cozy fantasy, less action-packed, but emotionally also a banger.
The most
like
wonderful
it was great.
book.
So thankfully pivoted to the right book.
Yes. And that was, I think, a good decision because we were like, we can't do something that's too similar
how do we
that we
follow
can
this?
compare it because you can never,
Yeah.
right? I'm not saying that Lore is the most perfect book to ever exist by any means, but goddamn did it like grab you by the throat and drug you through it.
Oh yeah,
like,
super fun, great, good time.
couldn't put it down, truthfully. One of the first books in like a long time since I was in like high school that I was like, no, genuinely could not put it down.
Yes.
Right. At a certain point, it was like, no one talked to me. I have to finish this
Once
book.
you were in it, to the end. It
Yes,
was like,
and it to win it.
exactly.
We stumbled upon a book which is actually a series, because you had recommended the book Maleficent 7, or you'd suggested it, right? And that one is still on the list, so I can't say whether or not that's good.
Yeah.
But looking it up on the Goodreads, a different book by the title of Maleficent 7 had come up, and it was in a series. It was in the Skullduggery series, Skullduggery Pleasant. And so we looked up the first one of that and read the description of it being a skeleton detective who teams up with this girl and they do magic and shenanigans and it's jokes and like the description was so funny.
Oh yeah, it's like smart mouth, like
Yes,
like trench coat, like very like hard boiled detective, but like
he's a
bones,
skeleton.
bones. He like can do magic. And she's along for the ride. It was magic, mystery,
And it was so
funny.
funny.
It was great.
And so we were like, listen, this book is for, I've never read a description of a book that I was so instantly like, this book is for us.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so we found the first one and read it very quickly because it's like on the same level as like a Percy Jackson, like the first ones that those came
It's
out.
the
Like
middle grade, yeah.
So we read those really quickly. Laughed my ass off the entire
So
way
good.
through.
It was very funny.
It's one of the few books I've ever read cover to cover, truthfully, like the dedication, the acknowledgments, the like note from the author, because the author is so funny. Just like the dedication. He said something like, to so-and-so, I bet you thought this was gonna be really heartwarming. Because he'll say like, Mom, inspiring, wonderful. These are words frequently used to describe myself. Dude, and then it's like the next, and he gets down, except for my Nan. Stay strong. And like, so it's like, I mean, literally the whole way through. I've read the second one. I know you guys haven't read the second one
Well,
yet.
it turns
There's
out
like 15
I was
of
thinking,
them.
it turns like it's a whole series, but they don't leave you hanging big time.
No, I mean, it's like I said, like a Percy Jackson.
It's kind of like a series where it wraps it up and then you can read the next one.
Similar to, I'm going to keep using Percy Jackson, but that there is, because that first one is like 5 books, right?
Yes.
You know that there's like an overarching story that's going on in the
Mm-hmm.
behind the scenes, and the last one is going to probably touch on that heavily. But the first couple are like, hey, here's a side thing, and you're getting hints at the bigger story.
Mm-hmm.
And it wraps up these like side things really well.
Yeah, but that was kind of a pleasant surprise to find. We just stumbled upon it.
It was-
and we
it
all
was
really
Skullduggery
liked
Pleasant.
it.
Skullduggery
Skullduggery Pleasant. And I actually audiobooked that one, and it was really good.
I also did that.
The
It's
guy who
very
does
good.
like Skullduggery's voice, like it's really good.
Well, the
Yeah.
author is Irish, and I assume that they have an
yeah.
Irish accent on the thing.
a little bit, yeah.
A little bit, nothing crazy.
I think when he does like the like character voices, a little bit of
little
the
bit more.
accents here and there.
But it was very good.
Yeah.
I did not fall
It's
asleep
excellent.
during that one. It was that good. It was that good.
So School Dinner wasn't excellent. And then, so well, I'll just ask you, what are some of your favorite books, favorite authors? Anybody?
Can you
Anybody got a
name your
favorite?
favorite book?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, okay. All right.
Well,
So,
Anna.
Sam, what's your favorite book then?
I read it. I think it was just after high school, several years ago. It's my favorite ever since. The Night Circus by Aaron Morgenstern.
And I read that.
Absolutely,
I haven't
number
read it.
one.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
It's pretty
So
incredible.
good.
Pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's all my favorite like tropes. It's written. Aaron Morgenstern has the best prose I've ever read in my life. It's so wonderful.
Is
and
he writing anything else, or Aaron
She.
is
Yeah,
an
sure.
Aaron?
Erin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She has another book. She just wrote
I haven't read
2 years ago. I read it. The Starless Sea is her other book. Yeah, it was
How's
very
that?
much like that was pretty good.
Not the Night Circus.
Right. Well, that one is the Night Circus is very much like a book written for me, basically.
Which
like,
is really
my
interesting.
exact. Because the Night Circus is, there's rival magicians, and been competing for, I don't know, centuries, millennia, for a very long time. They, over the course of their, say, I don't know, rivalry, I guess, they every so often choose an apprentice, train them, and the apprentices then compete, and say last man standing wins, whatever, the whole thing. And so this one, of course, is they've chosen their apprentices. Their competition is then to create through magic the Night Circus.
Okay.
So they build the attractions and the tents and things. They construct and do the Night Circus, which
And the way she described
I guess the pros.
each
So there's
attractions.
3 different like storylines of this. As far as there's the main plot of course, the magic like competition and all of that. There's the B story of. Say, jump several years later, this young boy who was like visiting the Night Circus, going through his experience with it. And the third one is all written in second person, so it's you walking through the Night Circus.
Oh.
And so it's written, you are fully immersed in this, and it's written
here's
so
the
well.
thing.
really interesting.
I've read part of this, and I think I probably got up to the point where it's gonna start,
It's definitely a slow burn.
Yes,
it's
definitely.
It's a slower read, but it is so worth it.
Well, here's what's interesting about the fact that you have a favorite book.
I have also a favorite book series.
Oh,
but
I know.
As far as standalone book,
This is
it's Night
the
Circus.
one. You who love to read from the minute you could pick up a book and start reading.
Oh yeah.
This is the one who hated to read.
it's true.
Didn't like-
Even though I read to you guys a ton, we always did the summer reading program at the library, and I would
I don't
always.
think you didn't mind being read to. You just hated actually
It's
having
true.
to do the reading.
She
Well,
liked-
yeah, I like stories.
She
Always
liked to hear the
liked
stories. She liked to do
I
summer reading
just
program.
I don't know what it was,
But to
but
get
just
her
didn't
to
like
read
reading.
on her own
Yeah.
was just a nightmare. And
Couldn't do it.
I'll never forget, finally, you were in high school
Yes.
and you read Jan Ivanovich,
One for the money.
One for the Money.
Oh.
And that did it.
I read it. Was like, oh my god, that's so good. And then I read
So
the
good.
first 15 of that series
Yep.
in 2 months. Not
She
even.
just started flying through
Flew
them, just
through
devoured
those,
them because
and
they're
then-
so funny.
They are.
So very funny.
And it's
You've
very
got
funny.
the mystery.
It's one of those like a long where it's the you or like a site.
Yeah.
It's like there's the mystery to solve in each book.
Yes.
There's the who done it of like
That first one though. That first
It
one
was
is
a little
much,
scary,
is much
yeah.
darker.
I love it.
Yeah.
I don't say much darker, but it is
a
like
little scarier
than
But
the
yeah,
rest.
And
As
the
you-
characters
as it gets
are
through-
very well written. And
Yeah.
they're very funny. Lula, oh my god, I love her. So we get to go meet Jan Ivanovich
Yes. That was amazing.
at the St. Louis Library. Yeah, we went and met her, and Sam tells her the story how her book was
into
the book, the
reading,
one that
yeah.
got her into reading, and she was like, "That's so great!" Like she was so happy, and we got to take a picture with her.
It is on my list to read those at some point because we've talked about
If you want a shorter series by her, I would highly recommend the Heist series that she wrote. Because that's only like 6 or 7 books rather than like we're pushing 30 right now.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's a little less intimidating, but those are very, very good. Plus, again, it has all my favorite tropes of the cat and mouse game with the 2 leads as far as like FBI agent and like professional con man, and they
Yeah.
team up to like pull off heists, and you know how I love a heist. So it's great.
By the way, I do have a leftover I have to address. I said something about funeral dogs, and you didn't know what funeral dogs were.
You have
Yeah.
a funeral dogs on her?
Does it have a hot dog
doesn't
in it?
like hot
They're
dogs.
only the best hot dogs on the planet.
And I
funeral-
don't like
funeral
them
dogs.
because their funeral dogs are hot dogs, but they're in the
Yeah, it has that crisp bite to it. It's the best hot dog there is.
No.
That is the best hot dog.
I don't-
I love that. Like crisp, the bite, the crunch of it. Ooh, it's so good.
Does Liv like those? I know Dad.
I don't know.
does.
Me and Dad. It's just
Her-
more
it's
for us. I don't hear it. Fine.
Okay.
Anyway,
Dad.
that's what a funeral dog is.
Okay. Well, now we
Why
know.
they serve them, I guess, after funerals.
I
Yeah,
can
no,
figure
no.
that all about
Deli
yourself.
in the next
Yes.
town over. Yeah, they're not called that on like the menu. It's the deli in the next town over, but they have become known as the funeral dogs.
Funeral
they're
dogs.
every
Okay.
funeral.
I got
So,
you.
They're not. That's not the official name. Trademark funeral dogs.
Funeral dogs.
They're not.
Don't go into the store and ask for them.
That's
like
for-
you
can I ask?
might-
Can I get a set of a case
like
of
you might for the
funeral
sexual
dogs?
chocolate.
Sexual chocolate is
I know-
now
I know
another
you're-
That's a
leftover.
leftover,
yeah.
Jesus Christ.
What's your favorite book, Em? Yeah, Sam just told hers, The Night Circus.
Yes.
What's yours?
I had to think about it, and then I remembered.
Oh, okay.
True
well,
story.
True story.
Um,
I'm glad you thought about it.
my favorite book is It's Kind of a Funny Story by
Oh, yeah.
Ned Vizzini. I don't know.
I read that one a long time ago.
That one I read in high school. That's the one. It's like a high school boy, kind of has like a mental collapse, and he goes to the like psych ward. He like stays in a mental hospital for a little while, I remember, and it's kind of like his story of like dealing with that and whatnot. That story made me realize I had depression because I was like, oh wait a minute, I'm relating a little too closely. Wait a second.
He draws like the maps of the head.
Yes,
and
he
the
kind of like
mind, so,
deals
yeah.
with it through. He explores art and whatnot. It's
Yeah.
very good. That author Ned Vizzini also writes the book Be More Chill, which is now a musical.
Did he really?
Yes.
Interesting.
It breaks my heart a little bit because Ned Vizzini wrote that book based on his experience of being in a like mental hospital.
I've heard this word.
Oh.
And so that's what inspired the book, and so he writes the book. Although it is like horribly sad because like years ago I'm like going through and I was like talking to somebody about that book, and then was like looking it up to like because I couldn't remember who the author was, and found out that he had committed suicide later. Like
Yeah.
this was like a few years ago. Like so he had done the mental stay and he kind of gotten better, and it inspired this book, and he'd also written this Be More Chill and all this. And later he had another kind of like mental collapse and ended up taking his own
Yeah.
life.
Oh
Like
my God.
so sad.
That
That's
is
so
heartbreaking.
Absolutely killed me. I was
Oh,
so
yeah, it's
sad. The book
heartbreaking.
is like
Well, he's so talented,
well, yeah,
honestly, to
hope
be able to
that-
write the
you just hope
books
that-
and
You'd hope that in his works that's inspired maybe teens or whoever.
oh my god, yeah.
anyone. Yeah.
Either see treatment or just
Well, yeah.
generally get better or reach out
Well,
for help.
And we haven't said this in a long time, but it's like take your
meds.
get your therapy.
Take your meds.
Yes.
And we know how
Well,
important it
And
is.
well, for me, it was like because
that's
I
so
was in high
sad.
school. I was in high school when I read it, and it was the way that he had written this kid's perspective and like how he like views things and whatnot was like so accurate. Because obviously the author he had depression, and so
Sure.
it's so accurate to the point of like you like reading it, and then he says that he has depression in the thing, and then reading it as a person who did not know, like, and you're realizing that this is also my like thinking patterns, and you don't realize that you're thinking differently. Like nobody else is struggling this much, right? Like no one else is dealing with that.
plus,
So
when you're so young like that,
yeah,
you just
you don't know. You
you
just
don't even
assume.
have the words to like contextualize those feelings.
No.
Like I'm just I just feel sad all the time. Like, well, there's maybe a
reason
chronic
for
condition for that. Yeah,
you just
so,
think that like, oh well, school's just really hard, or I'm in
Yeah.
a lot of sports or
Mhm.
whatever,
Yeah.
right? Like, and so it was really good. So I highly recommend that. And that one like ends in a much more like on a high note, right? Because he
Yes.
does get out, he kind of gets better and whatnot. So it does end in a much more like hopeful place. Like he can kind of move forward and whatnot. Sorry, spoilers, but it doesn't end.
it's not terrible.
I'll be honest with you, I'm never gonna recommend a sad book. There's a book
That's true.
I'm trying to think of.
We're all the same. Like
I can't do it.
I got
Can't do
Narrative books I would
Me
recommend,
too,
but they're
but-
not say sad books. I don't think.
I definitely
Yeah.
lean towards more funny, happy.
Now, Anna, do you have a favorite book?
Well, I would have when I was. You've reminded me of a book that was my favorite book for many years. When
Yeah.
especially when I was a teenager, right in high school.
Mhm.
The Catcher in the Rye. Loved that book. It was an assigned book that you had to read in
Yeah.
whatever English class when I was in high
Sure.
school. And I was the same as you, hated to read. I didn't like it.
Not like Mayor.
My mom, right. My sister was just like you, loved to read. My mom would read to us all the time. She read us the whole Narnia
oldest child, I think.
stories. I, again, loved to listen to the stories. Didn't want to read them myself. Fudged every book report up until that point. So, you know.
Oh, I have a book report story.
Yeah, I struggled enough to get the report done, and it was like, never again.
And so I read just enough to get the book report done. Exactly. So then, but then I had to read The Catcher in the Rye, and something about it pulled me, sucked me
really
in,
good.
and I loved it, and I was just blown away.
Never the one.
Legit changed my life because from then on, then I loved to read, and read just couldn't get enough. Couldn't get enough.
I think I gave it 5 stars.
So that was
on the Goodreads.
probably my favorite when I was in high school. Then I used to do the summer reading programs with you guys, and there was we would do the Caldwell Club books. And we had to read certain books. And I remember reading I want to make sure I say the title right.
I got it.
I already know what it is.
It's my favorite book of all time.
I got it.
I think
say
it
it.
is.
Hold
The
on.
Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane.
Yes. That's not what I thought you were going to say.
I knew. I was right. I guessed it. I remembered properly.
My
favorite daughter.
Do you remember that story?
I absolutely do. But I
Such a
thought
story.
there were two
Probably my
other ones.
Absolute fave.
There are two
What do you
other
think
ones.
about? That's what I always think of is that one.
Though I tell you what, I need to look into the Rebecca Cuddle if they're still doing
You go to the Barnes and Noble every now and then. There's definitely still the sticker on some books that are Rebecca Call.
because that book club in like growing up when we were like at the library, right, when you're doing the Rebecca Call club, genuinely got me from reading young like kids books to moving into like YA, like because that was like 6th to 8th grade I think is like the age range, and that's like tough. That's a tough age range because you're not reading.
In 4th grade, so I think it's
there was
it's that right in between elementary and middle school.
Yeah, it's that tweens, those tweens.
Yeah,
and it's tough that age to find good stuff because now there's like Percy Jackson and things like that are meant for that kind of age.
But go back 20 years.
There
it wasn't as obvious, at least not as marketable as it is now.
And we read a lot of amazing books. You found some really good. There were I to this day can remember there was the Edward Tulane. There was the Surviving Hitler one was the true Holocaust story, and that's what like got me to learn more about history because I was like, what the fuck? Like but it was such a good. It's horribly depressing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
so amazing because it follows like a survivor.
Yeah,
like it's his true story. It's not it's an autobiography.
But it was a hard to read, but it was
very good. There was Esperanza Rising.
That's what I was thinking.
That was a great.
I thought that's what you were gonna say. Esperanza Rising.
Tough at points too. That's tough.
That one is tough too. And then
that's
there
like,
was
like Hispanic. I don't know if she's Mexican, but it's like Hispanic.
It's Mexican.
Yeah,
she's Mexican. Okay, yeah, because it's like
and they have to escape
in the U.S. and like the whole thing.
Yeah, that was very good. But yeah, also sad. And then there was Esperanza Rising, and then The Tale of Despero was
it was called. That's right. That's really
Island of Blue Dolphins too.
I don't
remember reading
that one. But I don't remember reading that one. You read something about the Apple Whites, and I can't remember.
Surviving the Apple Whites.
Surviving the Apple Whites. I never read that one. I don't remember the stories. But I remember you reading that one.
Yeah. That was when you read to us.
The number one book from that, I don't know that I can say it's not my. I don't know if I'll say it's my favorite series, but it's my favorite author. Is the Gregor the Overlander. The first book is a Rebecca Cuddle book.
Is it?
Yes.
Nice.
That's where I read that first.
That's a great
time.
series.
I think Liv would probably say that's one of her favorites.
It is amazing.
I say I read the first book and I never got around to finishing the series. But
amazing.
There's
5 books in that series. They're called the Underland Chronicles. It's written by Suzanne Collins, which probably sounds familiar because she wrote the Hunger Games.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
But she wrote this first. And I remember reading that first one and just like love it because it's like this kid and his little sister, like he's like 10, 12, something like that. They fall down the like lawn, like I don't know, like a vent or something.
They're in your wardrobe style. Yes. They fall into a magical world,
but it's situation. Like underneath their apartment.
Yeah,
it's like
Underland.
In these caves. Yes, and there's like a whole city down here, and there's I know, but there's a city, and there's
the beginning of
right there's. Large bugs. There's like things that you would expect to find in like crawl space in like a city, right? Mm-hmm. Bats, like
Bugs.
Roaches.
beetles,
Rats.
like there's roaches, rats, and I think there's like some spiders
I think-
at
yeah,
one point.
spiders.
I don't think they're the good guys. So. In no way am I ever going to. This is a hard pitch as I'm saying it.
Oh, yeah.
like
As someone who's very much anti-bug, I'm
anti-bug,
yeah.
yeah, like they meet
Anti-rats.
a roach and they go adventuring. It's like, what? Like,
No.
I'm supposed to like this roach person? Like,
No,
yes,
thank you.
I know.
Yes, you are.
I'm like I know.
and you will.
I'm so. Oh, what? There's gonna be bugs, and it's maybe somebody dies, and I'm gonna be upset about it.
Yes,
Yes.
you will.
You will.
You will.
100%.
Again, as someone who's very anti-bug, I cried at that book.
Yes.
Yes, and
It
yes.
is, and so Suzanne
But
Collins.
she's an amazing.
But she's a great writer.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
I will say that each book has a prophecy. Okay, and
In your Percy Jackson way. Yeah.
in your Percy Jackson
There's
way.
a small prophecy for each book, and like
Yes,
and,
and
like,
then
big
there's an
one
overarching
for,
prophecy. Yes, and one of the things that I've always loved about Suzanne Collins is that she this is done in the Hunger Games, and it is done more overtly in the the Overlander series because there's a literal prophecy, whereas in Hunger Games she just says, hey, we're gonna go into an arena and we're all gonna fight each other and everybody's gonna die and somebody's gonna win.
Yeah.
Right? She says it up front.
Yeah.
And yet when you're reading it, you're kind of hoping like, well, maybe that won't happen. And then it happens. Like that's what happens in the book.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she doesn't pull her punches. Like she's like, if I said that people are gonna die, they're going to die. So like the prophecy, like you'll read and it'll say like, oh, like these like two of these people and two of these people and so and blah blah. We're all gonna go on an adventure and we're gonna go rescue somebody or we're gonna go find this or this is gonna happen. Whatever the prophecy says. And if it says two people are gonna die, better fucking believe that two people are gonna die.
Very great.
Not kidding.
There is like it subverts it a little bit. Like sometimes it's not what you expect, but usually it is.
Yeah.
If it says this, like these are characters. If it says that a cat is going to die, the cat will die. Now there are no cats in this, so no spoiler there.
Despite the dying, it's still
It's-
one of your faves.
It's very
Suzanne
good.
Collins. I love the Hunger Games series.
Sure, you guys both
I-
love that series. Let me take you
man's
back
mind
to the
is.
miraculous journey of Edward Tulane because my book
I'm ready.
is
Much
much
lighter.
happier.
Yes.
And this book,
My book is good too. Just to be clear, the other songs are amazing.
it's still great. It's still great. This will still make you cry actually, but it looks like a child's book.
Yeah.
Okay, if you look at this book, it
Yeah.
looks like and it's not long. It's very simple read. Edward Tulane is a rabbit.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he goes on
Unfortunately,
this, obviously, this journey. And I'm not going to say anymore because you really should read it. You can read it very quickly. No, it's just this, it's literally just the most beautiful story.
Yeah.
So good.
It is very good.
It's just unbelievable.
You gotta write this down.
You kind of get these themes throughout of loss, but also then recovery, of kindness, compassion, and then just like something about this journey through life, and if you don't do it with love, in your heart, then what's the point? That's kind of the whole thing. And it's just this child's toy that goes on this journey and ends up being the most beautiful story probably that I've ever read. So
It's very good.
it's truly just a wonderful,
Highly
wonderful book.
Highly
So,
recommend.
no bugs dying.
No bugs. No bugs dying. Okay, really quick. I think we kind of discussed this. If we're Kindle audio, hardcover, paperback people, I'm a physical book. I prefer to get the paperback just because I'm a cheapskate, but I will read the hardcover. And
course.
then you both are.
I have become more of an e-reader, ebook reader recently. I also, I am, again, a creature of habit, and I like goals and little, not trinkets, but like the gold star of like, the Kindle app tracks like, you beat your streak. You're like, oh my God, my streak, it's so good. So there's little motivation in the Kindle app as I read my ebooks.
Mine's much more practical.
You had a perfect week. You read every day. I was like, oh my God, my perfect week. It's great. So
Look at me
I
go.
definitely like that was, I was an
Oh,
audiobook.
man.
I audiobooked a lot when I was driving a lot, but I have stopped driving as much, so now I do ebooks. Plus, it's just easier for me. I'm also just a lazy person, and my arms get tired.
Well,
when I hold
fair.
books, so I can just.
It is.
I can,
I'll say it's tough. I like end up hunched over my back
exactly.
hurts.
I
you
can
know?
I can
mean,
lock my phone rotation and
The-
just lie on my
right.
side or like lounge
The-
in a chair or whatever, and I'm good to go.
the bonus to having it on your phone is it goes everywhere with me.
Exactly.
true.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if I'm at work and I take a lunch break, I can sit and read on my
true.
lunch break, and I don't have to haul the book with me if I go wherever. And I'm
a
sitting
waiting
in a
room
waiting
somewhere.
room,
I got 10 minutes. Phone out.
phone up,
few
and I
pages,
start
like-
reading, and I don't have to haul the book along with me. Before, I
Exactly.
would stick the book in my purse
Yeah,
or
or
whatever.
have to carry either carry a giant tote to
Right.
bring a book with you.
So
whereas like my
I
phone, boom,
like
I'm good.
that very much. I like that it's wherever I go, it's with me.
And
We went to see a movie, and after the movie, they wanted to get boba, and so I didn't really want boba, so I was waiting in the car, and I just read my book. You know, it was great. I had it on my phone. So I do like that.
I just feel really superior when I'm like reading through a book and I can be like, I read this much, and I hold it
You
like,
can see it, physically see it.
yeah. Or if I'm like, I read like 8 books and now I own all the 8 books and I can stack them and be like, bitch.
They do take up a lot of space, though.
That's true. I do
But
like the
it's
look of a pretty
troubling.
shelf.
And
I
she
love-
does love that.
I like a
Yeah,
pretty shelf.
She does love that.
But I find that I actually read the books that are on my
Yeah.
phone.
Now,
So
one
that's
of you
been a
guys'
challenge.
favorite shows when you were kids was Shelley Duvall's bedtime stories.
Probably me.
Okay.
I mean,
oh,
both
you
of us.
both.
Oh,
love
I
that.
said one of us. I was like,
No. Both of you guys
Yes,
love that
like-
show. Shelley Duvall, who was also in The Shining.
The Shining. Well, it's so funny
Hilarious.
to say that like I knew Shelley Duvall because of Shelley Duvall's bedtime stories,
stories.
and most people know of Shelley Duvall because of The Shining.
Because of The Shining.
And it's like, I'm like, no, I had no idea.
But she ended up doing the show, and it was wonderful. She would take typically like 2 or 3 books
An episode.
in
Well,
an
yeah, I
episode. It
think-
just depends on the
stories,
length of
so
the
I
book.
don't-
But she would pick 2 or 3 books, and then typically a celebrity would read
Of
the,
the time.
books.
Yeah,
They're-
there'd be like fun animations to
Yep,
go with
and they would do
it,
little fun
and they'd go
animations,
through it.
and they would
There
just read the
was
books.
children's books. 'Cause it
They were
was
children's
like,
books, and they were bedtime stories. So you guys watch those all the time. And in one of the books, what is the book? I can't even remember. It was about these animals. It was on like an island, and they were all angry at each other. And the one animal says to the other one, I'd love to see you suffer. And so I would say that to you guys all the time, like, I'd love to see you suffer.
Right.
And you knew it was a joke because it was a quote
did I.
from the story. Well,
Yeah.
not too long ago, I don't know what Liv did. She did something, and I turned, and she was like, my eye, or whatever.
Yeah,
Like she hurt
yeah.
herself, and I turned to her and I said, I love to see you suffer. And then I went, oh, I don't know if she knows that quote. She might think I'm being a terrible person right now. And I said to her, that is from one of Shelley Duvall's bedtime stories. Do you remember that? And she says, of course I remember that. I love that. It was like VHS tapes. And I said, yeah, we had VHS tapes years ago. And she's like, I remember. She's like, my favorites were, there's a monster in my closet, there's an alligator in my bed, and there's a bitch in the attic.
And there's a
And then
bitch
she
in
said,
the
and don't forget the whore next door.
Of course.
Now, is that not so, Liv? Now,
course.
listeners, there was no story called The Bitch in the Attic.
There's something in the
There was
attic.
something
It was-
in the
I
attic.
think it was literally there's something in the attic.
That
It
was the name of the
it
story. It was in typical Liv fashion.
was Bitch in the
The
attic.
bitch attic, and don't forget the whore
Yeah,
next
don't
door.
worry. I think, oh God.
That's so.
So I had
Yeah.
to tell that story
I
since we were
remember
talking about
those.
books this week.
I remember the like too many cats
Yeah,
one.
yeah, millions of
Or
cats.
millions of
It's called
cats.
Millions of cats.
I remember the too many cats. The what's the is not
Millions of cats is too
not
many
the
cats.
horrible here, but like the one with the he like says a bad
Albert's
word.
bad word.
Yeah.
Albert's bad word.
That one.
And
Because
here's that one. I'm looking
love
up.
that one.
I'm looking at the full like rundown of
Oh,
the show
sure.
because I'm trying to find the goddamn book.
Oh,
that's in it.
yeah, well, it was like Evil
But
Island.
you had
Angry
Albert's
Island.
bad word was paired with Weird Parents. If you remember the Weird Parents,
Yes.
and I loved that.
Oh
one.
my
Weird
God,
Parents were actually really fun.
Which,
Parents,
by the way,
fun.
Albert's Bad Word is narrated by Ringo Starr,
Yes.
and Weird Parents is narrated by Bette Midler.
Legit.
And
Oh,
I
yeah.
went and got celebrities
Yeah.
to narrate these to read the stories.
There's a Nightmare
they're
in My Closet.
excellent.
There's a Nightmare in My Closet is read by
That's what it
is by Mercer Mayer. These are all by Mercer Mayer.
Because he wrote those.
Yes. Well, no. They're narrated by Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
Is the first one. Alligator
Oh,
is
yeah.
Christian Slater, and There's Something in the Attic is by Sissy Spacek.
Oh, so it's basically-
I can't believe
Who was Carrie?
I'm like shocked because I thought that like the celebrities that they were gonna get were not. I wasn't gonna like recognize these.
Oh, no. They
no,
were-
this is Dudley
yeah.
Moore, James Earl Jones,
Legit.
John Candy, Bonnie Raitt, Martin
What other books
Short,
are on there?
Patrick's Dinosaurs. Do you remember that one?
Yes.
That was
do.
the one
Don't
that
think so.
the Patrick is the boy and he loves dinosaurs, and his older brother takes him and he talks about the dinosaurs,
And, like,
and
on
then
the bus.
in the thing Right, and then he's like
Yes.
imagining them.
Yes,
yeah.
imagines them all over the
there's,
city.
There's Katie No Pocket.
Rotten
No.
Island. Rotten Island.
Rotten Island.
Rotten Island.
Rotten Island. That's
Narrated by Charles Grodin.
Charles Grodin. Okay, you would know if you saw a picture.
Yeah, but there was Katie No Pocket. There was did she do like a steam shovel one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Mike something in
Mike
and the steam shovel.
Mike and his steam shovel.
Because she like dug someone in a hole and like you couldn't get out. Like
and then they
the
turn her
furnace.
into the
yeah,
furnace.
exactly.
Maybe like 20 episodes.
I know. There's not very many. I bought it. I found it on
shook.
Amazon. I bought it and sent it to my sister for her
Oh my
grandkids.
god, buy me one. I need
they're
one.
great.
I need one for me.
But yeah, and it's like I was saying earlier, like we got this on it where it's like I always loved stories.
Yep.
But I don't know what it was, but I didn't like to sit
Didn't
and
want to
read.
read.
I don't know what, but
I'm
yeah,
sorry,
I love stories. I love to listen to you read. Dad, I iconically I remember we took a vacation. I think he read it to us after. We took the vacation to Hannibal, Missouri, and then we got back and Dad read us
Because we did a tour of the cave.
of the cave. So Dad then read Abby, you, me, the Tom
Sawyer.
Tom Sawyer.
Yep.
And so I think he may have read it to us before we went.
No, he read it after you.
It was
got back
after.
because
Was
you
it
were,
after?
Because it was really cool. You really liked the.
I remember
Because the whole town
The
is
one
like-
thing I remember distinctly was
the-
we're doing the cave
Who
tour.
wrote the story? Help me.
Mark Twain.
Mark Twain. So the whole town is like Mark Twain because he was from there
Right,
originally, and yeah.
I just remember iconically or distinctly we're going through the cave tour. And we get we're going.
I know exactly what you're gonna say.
We're going through whatever the normal thing, and it's like we get to a certain point, like halfway-ish or thereabouts, and the like tour guide person says, "This is what Tom Sawyer and the girl's name
Becky Thatcher.
Becky Thatcher would have seen in their time in the cave in the story." And
because the candle goes out.
Because the
because
lantern
the candle
goes
goes
out.
yeah.
Right.
So then they cut the lights, and it is the darkest darkness I have ever experienced in my entire life. It was insane.
We all remember this moment explicitly because I can remember him saying, if you are trapped in that darkness for X amount of time, you will eventually go blind. I remember him saying
I
that.
just remember it
And I was like,
being-
holy shit, turn the lights back on.
I don't remember that long.
I remember that.
I just remember
that.
like literally he said the whole like hand in front of it, like this is like
the
literally
hand in front of your face.
Couldn't even see it.
If I
Like,
did not
I-
have
like,
my
I-
hand touching my like nose, I would have not have known my hand was in front of my
Right.
face. I have never
Yeah.
experienced darkness
exactly.
like
It's
that.
like
That was
that
the
phrase
darkness.
finally
the
made
darkness in St. Louis.
that phrase finally made sense. Oh, this is extreme darkness. This is literally like this is what darkness is.
And
Yeah.
Liv is a baby, and they turn those lights on, and she's like,
Yeah, but it was.
Then they
that
turned
was
them on, and I'm
crazy.
like, thank you.
But yeah, but
Let's
like
go.
then Dad, I remember him saying.
We got back. Our
every-
house was done, and we moved into this house.
Yeah, so every night it
And
was like a,
he
like
would
a
come
few
up to your
chapters
rooms and
he'd
read you the book.
Read a little bit of Tom Sawyer.
I am misremembering this maybe because I don't remember him reading that in this house.
I remember this house.
I
for
remember
sure.
him reading
He
that.
started it when we got back, and we were still
Oh.
at Grandma and Grandpa's.
Yes.
Oh.
And
We
then
were in bunk beds at Grandma and Grandpa's.
this-
I remember us being in the two side by side.
And then this house, then the house was done.
I
Because
remember
it was
being-
almost close to being finished.
Oh, okay.
Went up there in the middle of October, and the house was done the end of October. We moved
Yeah.
in like 2 weeks later. We moved in, and
Mm.
he was finished reading the book. So he started at Grandma's, but
Yeah.
finished it here.
He also read us How to Eat Fried Worms, which was
Oh yeah, I remember.
funny.
I
Um,
don't remember that.
I remember him.
That was at
reading
that was at the old house.
Yeah, we had to read that when him and I, when we were in like 5th grade, we read that book.
Yeah.
I know there were so
I
many.
hated
Stuck with
that
it.
they
It
were
was-
eating the worms.
Yeah,
I
it
It
really
was
hated
like
that.
there were so many stories in what was it like? You go, you just would just read us like his books, Shelley
Yep.
Duvall. Dad read to us. I know we had audiobooks on a ton. Like either like
Yep.
we had
I
like various
read-
cassette things of
Yep.
various books on road trips.
mean,
we have books
yeah.
on cassette or CD. We did a
That's
ton
how I got Liv
of,
to go to
of
bed.
stuff.
We put a story. By then we had CDs.
Yeah. We had so much books and like stories around us all the time.
Well, and then because you were teaching at
Yeah,
the
also
time,
that.
we had so many books that
So
like
many
we
books.
read so much. Like and to this day, there are certain books like The Big Orange Blot that I'm like love that book. No, that book's for like children. I love it.
Think about, I've read Miss Nelson is Missing more times than I could probably
Yeah.
count. I read that was like in one of those liver books. Like, it was like those like old like I don't know kind of pseudo textbooks you had where like it was like a bunch of books in like for like a 3rd grade class. Or
Right.
whatever.
Yep. Yep.
So it was
Being a-
that. It
being
was
a
like it was
teacher.
like the Tacky the Penguin.
Mm-hmm.
It was those like
love
I'd reread those little stories all the time.
all the time.
I
All the
love
time.
I love kids books, obviously children's books. My favorite college course was children's literature.
I want to like.
I
go back
wish I
and
could.
do
And
that.
I would
read-
do that.
love to
I would
do
do that for fun.
You would love it because
You
as
want
a
to put
kid
one on? Because I would sit in a lecture if you want to give one.
legit.
Yeah,
Like,
we just
well,
do more of this.
I hated
Let's
reading reading as a
tonight.
kid, and so
That's the thing. I feel like I have to catch up.
and
I missed so
felt
many
like
good books.
I missed out on all these books. During that class, I read all these great children's books that I loved, and gosh, I own so many books. It was not even funny. If you want to know what we're reading, we haven't
If
picked
you
our
want-
next book yet. We'll have to put a shout out.
I would
It
like
is your
to.
turn
It's
to
my
pick.
turn to pick, so I'm going to think about this. We'll have to put it on the Facebook.
Surprise guest, shout out to the Outsiders, changing my life in 7th grade. Just throwing that out there.
Thanks,
We're
Liv.
talking books.
The Outsiders.
Yes.
I talk about Gregor the Overlander.
Ow!
I thought I was gonna cut this out, but I'm leaving it in now.
Gotta leave it. I said, Liv loves that one too.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we're way over, so I'm gonna wrap it up
All
here.
right.
Well, you got some leftovers we gotta talk about. All right, we're out of
I don't
time.
know about you
Third time
guys.
guest, 0-time listener.
Yep.
Stay tuned.
I'm gonna cut a bitch. Sort of.
Could be a one-time listener. She could listen one time.
Listen one damn time.
I refuse. I'm a half-time listener. I put on the first episode, never finished it. You were in the room and said, "Play it right now." It was.
I did. We
I
forced her to
started
play
it,
it.
Forced her.
and they were like, "No, we'll watch Godzilla. Pause it." So I
sounds
paused
like
it,
us.
and
That sounds exactly like us.
so we watched Godzilla. So I turned it off, and so I haven't finished
All
it
right,
since. So
all right.
I've listened to
The
half
only
the first
thing
episode.
that would
That's
tear
it.
us away from our own podcast would be
Godzilla.
Godzilla. Okay.
All right,
Well, I don't know
anyway.
about you guys, but after this, I'm gonna need some serious beef.
And maybe a serious book.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.